Hello and welcome to Boxing Bants. Here I am in a place not to be named, I suppose. A nice little cosy office in maybe a place where you work, Joe. Possibly. Could possibly be that place.
Which we're very grateful for them giving us, actually.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be named.
Well, yeah, thank you very much to sum up my current employers.
Yeah, and obviously I'm here with Johnny and Johnny Stapleton from Irish Boxing. Thanks for coming, Johnny. You were very adamant about having it now just before Christmas as well.
Just because we're going to be busy after Christmas, and I
because
presume
January's
for
going
yourself
to be mad for us, So first of all, the reason why I wanted to get you in, obviously the end of the year after the boxing year and whatnot. Over this year I've only kind of started doing this, like going on the road, going to shows, start of the year. So I've pretty much seen you at every single show. So it was obviously good to get to know you and speak about how actually Irish boxing came about, because you're literally everywhere. Every time there's an Irish boxer, it could be Dara Foley in Australia, whatever, there's news up. How did the idea come around in Irish boxing? How did it form?
I didn't actually start it, so I don't know if you know Jerry Callan. So Jerry wrote for the start and probably would have kept boxing alive maybe in the time between
the 90s,
in the 90s, before done, after McCullough kind of period. So Jerry would have had a column and would have been the only one about. So he kind of set it up with his son, and I don't know how technically good Jerry was. So Tomas Rowan came in, who now works with Brian Peters, is probably one of the respected matchmakers around.
He very involved.
Knows his stuff. Career. So I probably would have started sending stuff in. Then I was working for the Gazette, and any sort of boxing stuff I just sort of sent it in, which is something strange people don't do now, which is a kind of a bugbear of mine. Like when you look back and you know, probably I was hungry by the love for boxing and I wanted to be involved, and so I was working in a local newspaper and I was just sending stuff in, and we were kind of doing the Clondalk and Blanche beats, so we had Egan, Darren Sutherland, and you know, we had good names at the time. Then Cormac Campbell and Steve Wellens ran it for a while, and they brought it back to kind of like a monthly thing, or kind of like a magazine sort of thing. And then they just rang me and said, look, I was still sending stuff then. He just said, look, we're going to get real jobs, kind of thing.
And, what, 2009 would be?
Yeah,
the site was probably 2000 around it started. Like it's been going about 20 years now.
Yeah, so 2009. So then I just took over, and I kind of freelanced and ran the site at the same time. So I was just living off freelance money. And from then we just changed it to like an instant news site, and then I met with a fella called Derek McKenna, and he worked with me for a while. So we had a football site, and that was supposed to be the money maker to allow us to keep being the lifeblood of boxing. It's nearly like a vocation. Do you know what I mean? I should have left ages ago. I've no house. I'm living in a box room, renting off down in Limerick. I can't afford to live in Dublin.
Right.
Women have left me left, right and centre. Like, don't even live with me, baby. You know what I mean? I should have left ages ago. I just can't. Like, financially I should have. But I think if the site went, I think now, and we're bad at sort of praising ourselves, but boxing would be screwed. As you say, a 1-0 fella, a 2-0 fella, a fella 7-9. What paper's going to cover that? You know, how are they going to get any sort of coverage? And in terms of a lot of the smarter lads around can make fights for themselves and make by using the site can make paydays for themselves. I think the best probably at it was Timsy. Like when you look at his career, and
Anton Fitzgerald
was amazing at it. Yeah, like he got an Andy Lee fight. And I don't care what anyone says, it was because he mentioned him on the site about 4 billion times.
Yeah.
And he'd fight anyone. Timsy'd ring you, you wouldn't even be, I'm gonna kill him. What? Hello? Who's this? Hold me, I'm gonna kill Reynolds, blah 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 blah. And he'd work up a fight, and then you get the story out, he'd text you, yeah, I was on to Reynolds there, yeah, that's good now, that might work. Like people use the site smartly, so I think if it went, Irish boxing being in a bad place, I feel. And it probably would have went only for Joe come in, and Joe's different level of knowledge, of integrity probably as well compared to things, and just a new passion that could have, because when the football site went, because we were getting sued and big business, and everyone knows the FAI now, like we covered amateur football, and yeah, you can see what happened. So they got rid of us, and probably primed to go back in, but I just wouldn't have the energy and like anymore to you'd need a big staff to do it. If anyone wants to volunteer and can reset up a football, it's like so yeah, then Joe come in.
And did you do journalist work before that, Joe?
No, like Johnny, you were in you were in was it Ballyfermot? You did sort of media there. Yeah. I was just in college, and I was sort of in a quiet time, and I was a boxing fan, and it was just like a sort of a call for writers. So it was a quiet time. I was like, I'll give it a go, and I sent in an article, and the person who emailed me back, I didn't know it was Johnny at the time, and he was like, yeah, that's good. So I was doing sort of one a week, just bits and bobs, and then about 6 months later, I think it was the first big show in Dublin. It was the Jamie Conlon Granados fight, and it was summer holidays or whatever. Well, I was in college, and Johnny was like, do you want to come along to the press conference?
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, jeez, press conference. Like, I'm not a journalist, I won't be able to do that. He was like, oh no, come on, it'd be great crack, yeah. So I went in, met with Johnny, and was it Smock Alley Theatre? It was lovely, big nice place. But we go in, I was like, I've never been to a press conference. What's this going to be like? Or are we going to be able to see the boxers? Are we going to be able to talk to the boxers? And sort of just standing there, three of us in the corner, and then like Jamie Conlon walks over, who is like now James a friend, but like he sort of just like, oh hey, nice to meet you, and like everyone and like you sort of like the illusion was sort of shattered there that like this isn't some big closed shop. It's not like when you see football thing that
there aren't barriers.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone is just like a regular guy. Like my Facebook now is like destroyed with like you go on, it's just all boxers. Everyone is like it's a really sort of equal sort of sport, and everyone like is happy for your time. There's more person, like, and that's probably the reason I stuck with it. Like obviously I love boxing, but like it's just interesting. The interviews you do with people are interesting rather than like, oh, we'll give 110% in this game, or oh, I'm looking forward to this game. Like it's boxing, there's a lot more personality there, and sort of once I went to, it was handy that I had Jamie Conlon versus Granados as the first fight, but yeah, I was just hooked from then, and I've been to pretty much every show since then.
And I think even I have to say, like the boxing media are generally fairly wide and open and friendly as well.
Yeah,
actually, I definitely found that. Like I couldn't, from when I was starting, it was probably like Jerry, Kieran, me and Kev, and Jerry be offering us lifts, picking us up, taking 7 hours to get to Dundalk or to Belfast. We stop offs everywhere, and just how open and friendly that was, I found was another good thing. And there was no sort of real cliques or
well, I know that from lads that who cover boxing but maybe covering other sports or rugby or something, and they're talking like about the competitiveness or the like people taking slights at other people and thing. Whereas here, like some of my best mates are boxing writers, and everyone works together, everyone helps out. There's lots of sharing. Whereas there's no competition or trying to undermine people.
Does that come from a kind of real passion for the sport? Everyone wants to see the sport do well, or like we would rejoice when we see someone we've been covering for a while get wider media coverage rather than say, oh, that's us gone now. Like they're big time.
Well, there's more, I suppose, as well.
There's a want for the health of the game. Yeah. Boxing does good, we do good. In football, if football does bad, football writers still do good, because like there's always going to be a World Cup every 4 years. There's always going to be Euros. So like, whereas if Carl Frampton didn't become big, there'd be no big huge fights in the Odyssey, and there'd be no
other
people coming up. Whereas so like we to a degree need boxing to do well for us to do well, and sort of like the rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah, it's kind of like so like a friend of mine does Irish Football on TV, and I've helped him a few times, and it's kind of like what you said in terms of the media is very different. I've gone to plenty of Ireland games, and you're with lads from different media outlets, and I've read their pieces next day, and they've just completely destroyed the Irish team, like completely destroyed them. Whereas you just don't see that in boxing. You can't do that, because a lot of people have kicked the ball, like, but not a lot of people have ever boxed. And were you wary of that getting into Irish boxing, that there's a very thin line? Do you know what I mean? You're there to report the news, and because journalists tend to give their opinion, I think in this day and age they kind of give their opinion more so on the person's performance and all that, whereas in boxing it's different, isn't it? You don't want to.
Well, we'd flat news it, and if there's room for opinion, we'd do opinion pieces, especially if we felt sort of passionate on some of them. And I think particularly in Joe's case, because of the way his head works or whatever, and he can logically figure out things, so he could probably tell you who Katie should be fighting in 9 years' time. He would probably have worked out. Well, I'm not saying he's sitting down doing it. It's just it comes back to him. Yeah. So he would know the top amateur maybe coming out of Russia who once slagged someone who, and you can see the narrative and the logic. So in his pieces, you'd often find they'd be educational, but and sort of slightly. There'd be an opinion, but educational.
Mine's a bit colder than yours.
Yeah. So where I see a lovely juicy line and I'll like try and put colour around that and run with that, where Joe will be way more logistical. And we do opinion pieces, but you never slate a boxer for and there is
that's what I mean.
There is times where you get upset with them
for not when you know they can do better.
But and that comes from that thing as well, where like if he would have won that fight, he could have been coming back here with a rematch, and I would have sorted Irish boxing for ages. We probably get, and you do get annoyed, but when you hear like, maybe he wasn't doing this, or he could have done that, but you can never slate them. And as we know them personally, and we know boxing people are good guys, and they give us good lines. We never get like the football, like what I used to cover. We never get the media train stuff really. A lot of the younger lads now. You're either getting Conor McGregor, Conor McGregor's or kind of media trained.
But to go back to your point there on like criticising, like I do sort of see the difference with football. Like if you're an international football writer, and you see, like, not my personal opinion, but Glenn Whelan, and people can like slag Glenn Whelan and stuff, but that's because they only cover international football. We cover world level boxing, British level boxing, Irish level boxing, lower than that, and it would be wrong for us to lamp into someone who was overmatched in an Irish title fight, because there are other fights for them to have, and that's okay. It's okay for everyone to have a level, whereas we don't need to, like, whereas in other sports maybe like they're just focused on one part of it, and we sort of have this all enveloping.
It's more than okay to have another level. We should be trying to develop levels.
And it would be weird in football.
So we should have headliners, and then we should have guaranteed lads. If they have 50 losses, who cares? They're in great fights all the time. Put them in with each other. We should have the championship, and people can get promoted and up to world level and come back down if they don't. But there should be tiers where nearly the Irish title should be a thing now that should be like guaranteed on every show somewhere. So it doesn't matter what fight is headlining, or you're guaranteed at least one good fight. Like the all Irish fights have kind of really invigorated stuff, I think, especially on the small scene.
Well, and to go back to Anthony Fitzgerald, that was one of the first things you said to me. It's like there's nowhere else in the world where this guy, I think he was like 17-7 at the time, there was like nowhere else in the world that guy would be able to talk about, but be able to be seen as a figure within sport. Like if he was in Britain, he's written off. He's a joke. They'd turn him into a journeyman or something. Whereas like, we, like, the thing I would take pride in, that we sort of help take away the stigma of a loss to a degree. Like it's still there, but it's not as heavy as it might be in Britain. That like people if they see you get knocked out in the Sky, you're basically, every time you come back, all they'll talk about is like, oh, he was knocked out this time, and thing, and sort of you're written off as like, oh,
and you've probably seen that in the Craig O'Brien commentary last night. Yeah, in their mind, he was knocked out by Fowler, so
he has no chance here.
Yeah, he's no chance here. Where we all know Craig's capabilities, I suppose. And people could understand what Anto was. I have a go bloke, good to watch. He got in damn fight, Lee, and then the Spike fight. And the Spike build up was unbelievable. That was like
just before me, but actually that's a funny story. Is this how I actually got on the? How I actually got inside about 3 months before I put in my test article thing. Like there was a competition on the site for tickets to the fight, so I like retweeted it and I won tickets. It was absolutely brilliant. And then about 2 years later, Derek, who's working the site back then, said to me, you know that draw was rigged. Like I saw your name, and then like I saw you on Twitter, I'd seen you on the forums, so I'd be like, oh, I'll get him the ticket please. Like, so like, they would have buttering me up, I think.
Well, he said that fella retweets everything, so he'll definitely go. So that was a great card. That had Deco Jono.
Yeah.
And there's another one that Jono used the site unbelievably. Now people might argue otherwise. In my mind, he just made Deco fight that night and then changed his career on it, and he made Deco fight by using the site. He, like, after the weigh-in, you weren't there, So after the weigh-in, I was like, we got John out the day before. He's like, turn the camera on. We're like, what? Turn the camera on. So John, we have your interview. It's out now. No. And then he's like, they're after reducing it to a 4-rounder. They're breaking it. Blah blah blah. And camera off. Just John out there, pan again. Boom. Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, even but like, and Deco learned from that as well. Like the amount of fights like through ourselves and like yourself recently with the Shark fight as well. That like Deco knows better, and Deco has a couple of losses now, but he's still getting fights because he knows how to work. The media sounds insincere, like, but like he's able to elocute what he wants, and he and it helps him to get it. Like.
That's one thing a lot of boxers should do, and you don't have to be a sap doing it. Like you can do it nicely. Like just say, I think X versus Y would be a decent fight. And it just starts to Cully and Fitzpatrick. Now I know that has roots in the site as well.
Yeah, it does.
Sean Cray was unbelievable at it. Who else was decent at it? Spike is a master at it. But he's so good on Twitter. Like he probably doesn't need the site.
I'm right. He used your site as well for the Eubanks fight, didn't he? He used every outlet he could for that.
Yeah, no, Spike's a man, and was enough for him not just to use the site. Yeah, but he definitely, like. We used to do videos, but it was probably Spike why we stopped, because you just like a waste. Like you'd have 74 stories in 10 minutes. Like why put it all in one video? Like here's a month's work. You know what I mean? Call out everybody. And with great lines. Like Spike was a master at it. Yeah, he is a master at it.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So a year for you now, like week to week. What typically how's your week go? You just you're just waiting for news to come in. Basically, you get a call or a text, and then it's article up. And then
you live on the premise of anything can happen at any time. So like you're kind of never off. Like Luke Keeler breaking a 1:30, was it? When you were
2:30 in the morning. Yeah. Well, see, that's actually funny because when I worked full time in the site from summer of 2016 to summer of 2019. I'm only part time now, but when I started in summer of 2016, I was like, I had this great idea, and like classic me, I had like my timetable of like, okay, I'll get up in the morning and like 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. I'll do this, and within about 2 weeks I was like, this isn't gonna work. Like it's just so inconsistent. And so some days you'd be overblown with stuff, other days you're like, okay, I'm gonna need to like do a bit of a deep dive and see if I can find anything happening. So like it is probably the most flexible you're gonna have to be in any sort of job.
Yeah, and it's like at the minute it's fairly full on because there's so many shows. Like our remit will be to give everyone the sort of same coverage. Now that doesn't always work because like a bigger fight, there's more lines coming out of it or more. So we try to interview everyone when the fight is made, then we try and interview them the week of the fight, then we try to interview them after the fight. Now that's if it's your first fight. If you're Michael Conlon or whatever, but if you're Michael Conlon, then the opponent's sort of voice is worthy. Then the promoter says something, and then there's all little bits. So he'll obviously get more coverage, but the remit stays the same.
It's sort of like the 3 interview target for everyone. It's sort of how you like to go about it.
Yeah. So break the fight, first interview, and then there's people might just tweet something like, you say, well, Jane, there might be a story on that, like you might be able to help them out, and you could get on it, and then there's always stuff breaking now, isn't there?
That's thing.
And then sometimes there's them little video things that are hitters that you just have to get out to survive.
Like when you look at like your schedule for the year, do you look at like, let's say Michael Conlon fighting in America, those are the things you go, yeah, we can go to that, we can't go to this, or do you make sure that, do you try your best to get to every single show where an Irish fighter on it? Because I remember you went to Eric Donovan was fighting in York Hall, wasn't it?
I went to Eric Donovan in York Hall.
Joe generally travels.
I travel a bit, but it's really like I sort of view them as sort of working holidays. Sort of. I would like, and I'd not be picky, but like I'll go to one that I could or can. Like I won't go to. If anyone, like I won't go, this guy's fighting in Birmingham, I'll go. Like I have probably a closer relationship to Eric and his team, so it's like, I'll go for it. Like I didn't go to his fight in Scotland there last month, but you like to go. Like I went to Conlon's first 2 fights in Madison Square Garden, then took a year and a half off from it, and then went to the one there last week. And like it was a big fight. Like even that Spike Munguia fight, I'd love to go to that, but just isn't possible all the time.
In fairness, but Joe's doing this out of his pocket. Like
it probably like it is possible for me to go, but I wouldn't be able to then go to like I'd like to get probably like get 1 transatlantic a year, and then maybe 1 or 2 over to UK. But like you're
kind of sacrificing your holidays to go to these.
Yeah, exactly. Things. Like it's not
it's not
a
fully
lot of
holiday.
people, a lot of
where you
people have a
don't-
business sort of like a maths thing, like I'm gonna go, but I'm working freelance, so
Yeah.
I'll do this many pieces, and that will pay for my holiday. And that, like, whereas with myself, like we be more, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna enjoy myself, and I'll do a bit of writing, and I'll be there, and I'll have my site report. But yeah, it's very sort of more on the holiday side than the
And
working
even
side.
for the site, it's just good for
And it's good to be there. Yeah,
for
like
Joe's
like,
face
it's
to be
always
seen, and maybe
building
bump into people
relationships.
and or a journalists and what have you.
I always think at the fights, for me, if I can get the winner of each fight a little bit in an interview, to me that's loads, like, for the. But then I see yous, and yous are
We have to type up there.
yous are interviewing everyone.
You just have to fit place.
Yeah.
We have to type them
Like
up.
you to interview, but use interview. Like sometimes there's times where you just miss fighters. I just, for whatever reason, they're
Johnny will
they're
bring
with
them on
3
Monday,
people
yeah.
getting interviewed, and another fight's ended. Whereas you make sure you're getting everyone, and then you have to type it up, and I'm watching you doing it. It's so much work going into it. And I always know when to get up and interview a boxer when I see Johnny stand up. And I'm like,
Johnny's actually a glutton for punishment. Like if we go to fight on Saturday, I'd go out for a few drinks afterwards, and like I'd sort of take Sunday off and start Monday. Johnny will get the bus up to Belfast, say, and he'd be like, rather than stay out, he'll get the bus home, and he'd be on the bus transcribing things. Like, he just never turns off. Like,
I just hate having the Monday with 15 to go through, and it kill you to think someone had something out before you if you had a good line as well, I suppose.
yeah. But that was all.
But I used to be like that as well, though, Joe.
Like,
but
we have
before-
there's resources we have where you have like a list of all the stories that are coming out. Like, it's a ticker, like every story, and like if big news breaks, it's always nice to be the first person to
Joe
have
loves that.
that turned into an article. Like, so like there are these little things and little competitiveness to sort of keep
And
you
it's
sharp.
like a site, I presume it's for journalists, is it?
Yeah, News Now is the
And
site.
so anything published just comes up, and it's just like, it's like Reddit, is it?
Yeah, it's exactly
Like, so yeah, Joe loves to see ours be the first one of like after a Conlon fight, like that's his little niche.
in terms of the site itself, you're doing it full time, and obviously, Joe, you just said you're working and you're doing it at the side. How does the site get funded itself? Like, how do you make a living off it?
So I don't make a living, but we have Liffey Crane Hire and Dublin Plumbing and Gas, 2 main sponsors. We have to thank them usually. Like that's guaranteed a few quid every month, and then your numbers dictate how much you pay, how much once you can get in.
Right.
And we lose 40% of that with sort of a company we set up now. That's improving in terms of the money coming in at the minute. Other than that, that's it, and it would be less than the doll, would it, Joe?
Yes, it will be. Yeah.
Less than the doll. And we do 400,000. Well, the last couple of months we're doing 400,000 page views on Google Analytics, which is allegedly if you get to 750,000 you're made, like. So I don't know how 400,000 so far off.
Yeah.
But and then this year we were offered money to do an awards night. And that probably would have sorted us.
Geez, that would have sounded very good now. Yeah.
Yeah, proper black tie and
There's a lot of businesses looking to do that now.
But
Paul's been offered to do that at Fan TV.
Yeah.
An app have come forward to him and says we want you to do something like off the ball with,
Yeah.
through his links, get footballers to do it. People are going crazy for it now.
So, but it just venues in Dublin and all, it was all the same again. So we're going to try and do it probably in Belfast next year. And if we got that would probably get like I probably have till February where I might have to get a part-time job. If we got the award sorted, that might sort a few things out. Now the money is improving massively over the last 3 months, I suppose.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Yeah, not too bad, like in comparison. But as I said, like I should have left years ago. Like it's not a money thing. Like it's just that it's not even a labour of love. I'd feel so guilty.
Yeah.
Like, and that's honestly, I'm not. We never big ourselves up, or we never really talk to dramatics or whatever. But it's like a public service broadcast. Like without it, the people would be screwed.
Well, it's a bit different now that yourself has come in, but there were times over the last couple of years where you'd go to a show and you'd literally be the only person there, like the only sort of media there. There might be a Ricardo, the photographer, might be there, but like a lot of like it's not like I was at the Conlon fight at the weekend, and it was I think there was like 16 or 17 rows, like 10 wide of media. Like it's not like that.
Yeah.
It's even at the bigger shows in Belfast, like there's only it's a really small circle of us. There's only about 10 of us, and
like the Faley card is the only one where I was like,
oh yeah, there's a couple of people there.
The seats went all the way
back. It was like American South, yeah.
But
and the thing is, we're probably only touching the iceberg of what we could do and what we want to do, and like we want to do documentaries and podcasts, and but you're just basically
trying to keep the lights on it. Yeah, like you're
and it's frustrating, like, but I suppose you just get used to it after a while. Like you just get used to it. But like we probably need a dramatic change soon. Like, and like as I said, like the idea of doing a football and then we're going to do a rugby school, so we're going to sort of have one big hub of things. Joe would have just ran the boxing and had a little staff under him, and like it looked like it was building that way, but
it's hard to find. Like it's hard to find, and I know this from other lads who work in other organisations, that it's hard to find someone who is willing to basically be on the clock all the time and like, oh, this has come out, or like a lot of people like, okay, I've done my 2 or 3 stories for today, or like I'll get back to you in a couple of days. Like it really is a sort of, more so for Johnny than me, but like it takes over your whole, like it takes over your whole, like
you were worse than me though.
I was at Christmas, I was at a daytime sort of Christmas party once. I remember like I was like, oh, something came out, so like I was only 5 or 10 minutes away, but I walked home, got story out, and then like came back, like just nights out. Not as bad as you. I'm still very in love with my girlfriend, but Johnny has
loads of them. Like even the truth of it is, like my baby mama would have left, and like I would see my baby more if I could have sorted her rent out, basically got her a place to rent, and just financially couldn't. And like at that time I should have left and got a job and sorted it, but I didn't.
I think about it, and you
like
were
it's that mental. Like
you were in
insane,
proper media as well, and so like
I left for the site too. Yeah,
it's not like this was your only option as well, which is,
it
has to come from a passion anyway, because Irish media in general, like the papers just don't want to put boxing in it. You know what I mean? So.
But they used to, and this sort of thing that boxing has as well is RTE screws us thing. You've got to give them things, and you've got to create that hunger, and like it's so easy to do. And like another thing that annoys me as well, everyone putting stuff out on Facebook and your Twitter, and you're reaching the people you know. Boxing, we need to reach the wider scope, so we need to get into the mass media, and we need to get, like you put something on your Facebook, I got 400 likes, yeah, but it's everyone in your estate, your granny and your thing. You want to be trying to get new people. Use the site.
Out of everyone, I'd say Eric is probably the best on like sort of growing, like introduce, like letting people know the story and stuff. Whereas like a lot of people are sort of just, as you're saying, sort of like just pulled in by the numbers. Like, look how popular I am
on Facebook. But the Facebook, and same with promoters as well. I don't understand why they push stuff on all of their own Facebooks and Twitters instead of breaking it through the media. Where if, like, I don't know, if you're in the Sun or whatever, if you get a press release and it says, oh, this is embargo till tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you're like, well, we can get this out at the same time as everyone. If you get a press release after it's on someone else's Facebook, a promoter's Twitter, you're like,
it's been read by a chunk of people.
Yeah, will we use it? Will we not use it? And the people you want to reach are not the people on your Twitter. You're reaching them anyway. Am I wrong in that?
No,
it's like Lee Eaton said, interviewed there on Macklin Steak. He said, like, fighters themselves, they think that if they post it up on their I'm fighting on this day on social media, they're going to sell tickets. It's not that. You have to reach out to another,
but even
to a broader audience.
And especially in Ireland, like, so if Katie Taylor came back, you put Katie Taylor on the Late Late Show, boom, I think you'd be sorted. Throw Eddie Hearn on as well, he winks at a few grannies. Bang.
Yeah, no, he's completely right.
No, but am I right?
Yeah,
no, that's good.
And then they're the people you need to bring us to the next level. Yeah. So you need way more casuals, and we're not targeting casuals. Now people say to us, they say we're a bit core and we don't target the casuals, but use us as a base to start, and
keep your
media. A lot of media monitor us, and if it's good enough, they'll take it. Like the Luke Keeler stuff. Thanks to Luke, paid for lunch, breakfast in whatever. What month was he called now?
Oh god, was that October or November? But like,
and every paper ripped all the quotes from it. And grand, like that's not what it does. We love it. If you give us a link,
people had already read it. So it's not like it's not a competition sort of thing, but.
And his profile just totally changed then. And in fact, now he got it out on Twitter, didn't he? Initially, but he gave us the heads up to
him as well. Be ready for this.
So.
That reminds me actually of when Sergio Martinez fought Chavez. because he wasn't a name. So Lou DiBella put him on every single chat show.
He was on Dance with the Stars in Argentina and stuff.
Argentina. And then Lou DiBella rang Bob Arum, was like, yeah, so he's actually, I can't remember who it was. Was it Bob Arum? No, maybe it was it was Golden Boy, wasn't it? And he said, just let you know, he's been on all these shows, and now we can fight.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And that goes wide to that too. I have to say, is one of them that's wide to it knows. You have to have a wider thing, but everyone seems to think your Facebook and your Twitter, like, which are great tools and have changed. But brilliant, Eddie Hearn's the greatest Twitter. He's changed it, and boxing can be promoted all through Twitter. Yeah, but like, there's a whole demographic that you want to be getting that won't be following you on Twitter. Some of them not on Twitter.
People who
look how many outfits have we lost to.
Yeah,
to
people
boxing,
who are
like
willing to take €2 out of their pocket every day to get a newspaper are more likely to buy a ticket. It's a lot harder to do that than it is just click like or like who's coming to my fight. And like any boxer will tell you, like the disparity, like especially on the week, the amount of people pulling out and stuff. Like you need, it's not sustainable just to be ourselves. Like it is in a way. It's sort of like Kevin Burno says this, that it's sort of similar to like League of Ireland football. Like that's the sort of level we're sort of talking at. And to get bigger, you need to go outside your circles.
You need to be a Jack Bourne getting on News Talk.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of stuff. And that's like Eric has been on News Talk a bit. Luke Keeler was on there recently as well. Like it's sort of.
Was Luke on proper News Talk or just?
No, he was on After Brawl, but
which is just great. It's great for the profile. They're not knocking it up. I mean, Eric was on the radio. News Talk.
To be in people's
and we got messages.
Did
you see that? Like, people saying, "What was that fella's name?" I don't even think she wanted his number or anything. That girl. So my son just found him very helpful, and we heard him on News Talk. We got a few messages about that, and that's what boxers need to be targeting. You keep your profile to us and then target and target mainstream media as well, and like that's why I just hate seeing stuff posted on.
It is hard for them though as well, because like it's such a hard sport, it's such an unforgiving sport, it's such a financially not a viable sport, probably, like plain and simple. And then you're saying, okay, you need to have this media personality, whereas if you're in the GAA, there's a media ban or whatever, you might do like an end of season interview with one person, whereas like boxers are doing, like they could, like if you're on a major fight week, you could be doing 6 or 7 hours of media in total, like.
But them fighters are probably sorted media wise. It's a next level that need to be a bit. And like I know some fellas are shy, or some fellas live by the don't call out anyone rule, which was Luke all through his career, but still found ways to be colourful. But you can do it nicely, like, and I think we need a domestic scene to be thriving, and for that we need all Irish fights, and there's no harm in
it's building
them fights
now as well. Good,
like, is good
signs, like start like the 2 shows on February 1st.
Cully Fitzpatrick is a great fight.
Yeah, and that's a fight that doesn't happen.
Brilliant, like
4 or 5 years ago when I started. Like the first show I ever went to was, as I was saying, Conlon Granados, and the rest of that card there was everyone against journeymen, and they weren't even good journeymen, like, or as I call them, but Conlon Granados probably wasn't expected to be that good, whereas a show like that.
And even even in the Peters era, it would have been Gomez McDonough. I suppose it wasn't too bad, probably on paper at the time, but it would have been always an Irish fella against an English fella for an Irish title. Yeah,
like it's getting a lot more.
Yeah, and then I suppose in the Dolphin era, Anto versus Kane, Eamon O'Kane. Yeah, is this the best Irish sort of matchup for the title? Like I know Spike and Fitzy's probably one of the biggest.
I think Tennyson against Scaredy was a good fight,
but that just hadn't got the same.
It didn't have the same sort of spice. Maybe that's.
That's an unbelievable fight, but there was a
two nice fellas chatting.
No, but there was a failure in that was wasted in terms of that should have been like built up, and people. You don't have to be bad blood. People should have just known this is a quality fight.
Yeah,
like, get ready for this fight. Like 2 lads are sound with each other, don't get, but we should have been 50 million times because that was unreal.
I think Cully Fitzpatrick, because there was a bit of build up as well, that's probably bigger now than that fight was in the end. Even though that was a brilliant fight, one of the fights of the year.
But that's probably one of the had everything for an Irish title fight.
2 young lads, like that's what we're
amateur pedigree.
Yeah,
you had the banger versus the boxer. Yeah, that Garrity Tennyson. I nearly forgot about that.
I'm hoping actually that
but that's
Cully Fitzpatrick is going to be the start of
people doing that. We'll get ready to call out the winner. We'll do that tomorrow.
And then once you have characters like Gary, like on social media, fully backs himself. Do you know what I mean? The way he goes on, and it's respectful, but he he's still kind of calling the person. He sits like, I just think I'm better than you. And he puts in the quotes, the quote unquotes, the best lightweight in Ireland, like taking a dig at them.
Yeah, Joe has a little more bite about him. Real self-confidence, Joe, as well. Like he's a little, and he's been plotting this for a while since his comeback. He's been saying I'm the best, like, and he's got it. And what a fight! And I don't think there is a loser in it.
No,
really.
No.
But
to be honest, that's why it's been made, because both people they're both confident they're going to win, but they're both probably in the back of their head know a loss isn't the worst thing in the world.
The amount of boxers that wrote when I put up the post when it was being talked about before the BUI actually said, look, it's going to go to purse bids if not. The many people that wrote to me, the boxers, saying that fight's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Loads of people saying no, they're not going to take it and all this stuff. And
Joe knew it was going to happen.
You're fighting against that. You have a lot of people being like, oh, that's a waste. That should be for an IBF Intercontinental title. That should be for a thing. And like,
and possibly, possibly for, you can understand the logic of sometimes if you're managing either of them, but for Irish boxing and for the health of everything in general, and then your other fighters that you might be managing, this fight is unreal. And it's a game changer in that regard, I think.
My favourite example is always Groves against De Gale. They both met when they were like 9-0 and 10-0, I think. It's actually quite similar here. They both went on to win World Cup.
9-0, 10-0?
They were
like 12 and 14.
No,
whoa.
So De Gale fought Paul Smith like in one of his first 5 fights or something like that, wasn't it? It was very early on.
Very early.
Yeah. But and when you look at like the Celtic Clash last one, a lot of lads have just turned over, and a lot of them have fought each other in the amateurs. So you're seeing the potential there, and like in 1 or 2 fights more for each of them, they're going to be all matched up against each other.
Celtic Clash. Probably my favourite fighter around there at the minute is Stephen McAfee. Stephen McAfee turned pro, kickboxing background, where like had two fights against journeymen, knocked them both out, and then straight in against Conor O'Donovan, one of the best fights of that year. 6-round draw. Next fight, instant rematch with Conor O'Donovan. No, like building it up. Beats him.
What fight is that? It was
fourth fight. Beats him. Wins. Celtic title. Then I think he had another one in between because Fergal McCrory pulled out of an Irish title fight, so fought another journeyman. Then straight after that, in with Eric Donovan, gets knocked out by Eric Donovan. No shame there. First fight comeback on a week's notice, takes Kelvin McDonald, another Irish fella, up and coming young fella, knocks him out. Like he just and we need more people sort of like that who just because, and again, like without getting too sort of financial thing, it's a lot easier to fight another Irish guy than it is to fight a journeyman. You're fighting another Irish guy, you sell your tickets, whatever. You're fighting a journeyman, you have to pay for his flight, you have to pay for his hotel, his purse, so like you're instantly trying to sell.
A lot of money, like
a lot harder for you to like make ends meet, to break even, but like you fight another Irish lad, like Jay Byrne was another like this as well, like make your few quid, like have a good fight. No one actually cares now. And I think
just the way Jay says, he says, why do you need a manager in Ireland? He says, if I come to a night to tell you I sell 150 tickets, I'm on your show and I'll fight another Irish fella. That's his mentality towards it as well.
MMA probably has a bit of an influence there as well, in that people are caring less and less about losses as well, which is good for these small shows. Because, and this is as well,
like these lads could get to, so you fight journeyman and you're not going to be a world champion. You get to 15 now, you get one fight in Sky, you get knocked out, you retire.
You make $7,000 or whatever.
But do you want to be, so that what you remember for there, rather than you could be in 4 fight of the year contenders, 5 fight of the year contenders over the years. I fought him. He,
Carl Kelly was probably the main.
Bell's out after being in good fights.
5 fights, and he's fought for a Celtic title, Irish title.
And then you look, so
go back further, Kieran Healy as well. He was like 11 and 20 something.
Not just the journeyman, wasn't
Not just the journey. He won the Irish title. He fought Irish lads. He had
Sparks, Brendan Fitzpatrick.
Waldron, didn't he? I think, or.
Knocked him out in Mayo and celebrate like a mad. I was in the realm of boom.
But you get and we're sort of like that. There was sort of a small little heyday there.
I think that's what people need to, the promoters need to do, is to sell. Okay, these are the boys we're building to here. These are the boys that are gonna be your staple entertainment for the next 5 years. These lads are round robin and they're gonna, you know what I mean.
It's a night out as well for people, and you need, if people want to come to boxing, if there are better fights on earlier in the card, they're going to come earlier. They're going to, and that is great for everyone. It's great for the venue. It's great for the. Whereas if there's just one good fight, people aren't going to show up for that. Like only real gluttons for punishment, like myself and yourself, want to see fights where it's 40-36 the whole way through.
Unless the person is very popular, that's like Owen O'Neill, who's he's part of the Cliftonville Ultras supporters club, so they're there to see Owen.
Well, and that's it's
great, but it's not sustainable. You won't be able to do that for 15
people
fights.
aren't going to want to keep watching Fighting Journeyman, but so that's why after a certain stage, it's going to be like, right, Owen's in it.
And Owen is sort of a bit of an outlier as well. Like, there's a lot of people, like, the joke is always like, oh, I could sell 80 tickets for my day. Like, if I picked out my friends, my family, my work colleagues, whatever.
I think you'll do 80.
Like,
sorry? I always say to them, I reckon I'll do 80. Do you think you'll do 80?
And your mates and stuff.
I've no idea.
Yeah, Dave, you're like,
30 quid to see me get punched in the head. Like, you'd get 8, but then the second fight, Auntie Mary isn't going to come to your second fight. Like, she'll come to you first.
My Auntie Mary.
I think it was Sherelle Brown, the female boxer in England. She said that, like, her first fight, she sold like 200 tickets, and the next one was 150. 100.
Yeah, no, that's
and then she didn't sell any then after.
Well, that's why you need to. These people need to be on the journey, and they need someone to have said something bad about you or something to be to get invested in you again, to say, come on, right.
Eddie Tracy is actually a good example. He had 2 fights early on last year, and then his third fight was against another Irish lad only. And like, even though it was in Cork, he lives in Bray, he was able to bring people down because he's in a real fight, and knocked Owen Duffy out. It was great day. Yeah. His following fight in Belfast was against a journeyman's pretty hard, like a tough guy, and he had probably more people there again because
he had the Irish win.
He had the Irish win. People saw, like, all the people who went back to Bray, like, oh, we had a great night down in Cork, you need to come to Eddie's fights. Eddie's fights are great, and that's how you build sort of stuff like that. Whereas it's hard when you're just like, oh yeah, and I think, though, he won on points again, the other guy didn't throw a single punch.
The promoters need to. So the matchmaking has really improved recently. Like, this MTK show is great matchmaking, but the promoters need to sell that as well. Like, you really have to sell that, because a lot of casuals don't know the difference. If it's a foreign sounding name, it's a foreign sounding name, you know what I mean? Yeah. So you've got to sell it as well. Like, Barry McGuigan's a master at it. You'll be at Carl Frampton's press conferences and you'll be thinking, gee, is he going to get done this weekend? Barry was like, this fella's coming over, he's fit as anything, he can punch, he stands on Cheney. You know, like, at that time, without Carl, you were in huge trouble. Like, Carl kind of took all boxing on the shoulders for probably 5 or 6 year period, like, but Barry was sell the opponent as much as you can, and I think promoters need to do that. And if they make these domestic clashes, maybe do what they've done with the Fitzgerald thing. Let it leak out for a while, let it simmer, then announce it. Fitzpatrick, and Cully. Like, sometimes they're just made and then they're there, and you're like, oh, great fight. But
suddenly, you're overwhelmed, and there's like 4 or 5 fights on. We're sort of going from the 2 sides here, but like.
Yeah.
No, but just, like, promoters can be a little smarter with it.
Yeah, but like, as you're saying yourself, like, the difference in 3 or 4 years is incredible.
Yeah,
like,
the matchmaking has been brilliant.
Like, there's no.
And I think Joe has a part to play in that too, because Joe has a list of who's good journeymen and who's bad journeymen. Will give out about a bad journeyman. Will praise. Like, who knew Igor Barosh? Who would ever even remember him? Only for Joe just got a man crush. And, like, called it as it was, like, for him. And now you're doing an interview with Igor Barosh he's talking about coming back to I want to fight there again, and like, that does numbers. Igor Barosh, it's mental.
Yeah. I got last time I was talking to you properly. It was an MTK show. I think it was Paddy Barnes' last fight, and we were chatting, and you kind of told me that, you know, the site is going to need investment sooner rather than later. You said to me, which I didn't actually realise at the time, because I never knew how it worked. You know, how it gets funded and whatnot. And you know, I was thinking, you know, the state of the boxing in the Republic, and all the fights now going up to the north, and I was thinking, you know, if it keeps going this way, and if Irish boxing was the site was to stop, or not go, like, it'd be just detrimental to the domestic scene. What do you think? Will it continue the way it is, or does something need to happen, do you think? Or what?
The last couple of months there's been a bit of an improvement, but I don't know whether this Black November thing is just some sort of miracle,
Black Monday or
whatever
Black Friday,
it is. Black Friday thing is just some sort of miracle thing, so I don't know. So I probably alright till February, and then after February I think you'd scrimp it to the Olympics if you had to, just and I hope that's going to be massive, and next year be big enough. But like, I don't know. People are saying like, why don't you charge people to read it? Well, that's not a no-go. Why don't you charge promoters? They kind of used to do that, but that's, I don't know whether that'd work either, because like whatever about a small donation off them every now and then, but like we still have to be able to criticise them if we want to. But like the site does numbers enough that we should be able to get more advertisers, and we're probably just bad at selling.
Well, you also have to think that Liffey Crane Hire is run by a man called Mick Gill, who is
really grateful.
Really grateful. Like he's been with us over 2 years now.
And plumbing,
and that's Dublin Plumbing Gas. Dublin Plumbing Gas. He's involved in Keane McMahon's team. Michael Gill is part of Leinster IBA. Like these are people who these are people who are boxing men, and it's hard to find that. Like your average Joe Soap business doesn't particularly want to be involved in boxing, so you're looking for these people who are like look, and even. Like we're saying, it like
be changing. Like we would take like JD. We do enough numbers that JD, who sponsored the Next Gen yesterday.
Yeah.
Like the money they would throw us would be nothing to them, but would be massive to us, and we hit their audience. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of
maybe selling ourselves a bit more.
It's good to be a bit more cutthroat and sell ourselves.
But if you look at your numbers, you probably have the biggest numbers of a boxing site in Ireland. Do you know what I mean? So if you're at now, not an empty cage,
and we have a worldwide audience as well now, like
because you know, how would I know what Darragh Foley was finding in Australia? How would I know that apart from
we get people reading us in America. UK is like
London
50-50, with 50-50 with Dublin. Like we believe we have a good product in terms of it does reach numbers. If Eddie Hearn is getting all these sponsors, we're reaching the exact same people they want to reach there. But you can do it a lot cheaper, and it'd be pittance to JD or I don't know how many Lucas Aid or who's it these days,
Maxi Muscle or
and be pittance to them. But like in honesty, you've got digital marketing company coming in. One was telling us the both sites were worth 27 grand a month, and that was the gangsters again. And then others are saying, you're worth 5 and 10 a month, but I don't know how we're making less than the dough. I don't know how the numbers translate. So if anyone out there wants to come on and bring us in advertising, we're great. And like as I said, honestly, we're touching the iceberg. Like it's just
you have as well. Like just when you say people, like there have been like we've got in contact with advertising agencies and stuff, and like I think they're saying like they see the numbers, they see it's great, and then they come in like, oh, this would be easy sell, we'll get them, and then they sort of realise the tendency that people have towards boxing, and they're like, oh, actually this is harder than we thought it was. People don't want to get
really
involved. Like
well, that's what happened to the awards night.
The awards night, exactly.
That's what happened.
We had great meetings about the awards night, and then
you're talking like the money they were talking about the awards night. Now we weren't getting all of it, but after 5 years, we it would have been probably would have been a yearly wage for one of us. So we could have just boom, and that goes in the site. But the venues weren't having it. Sponsors didn't want to be associated with it.
Just because it was boxing,
and like imagine who we would have had there.
That's a bit of an Irish thing as well.
Look, think of the British boxing award, like
Australian. Dennis Hogan is an after dinner speaker in Australia. Like it's a respectable sport over there.
We would have black tied it with like. It would have been all over the papers and everything. Like just think of
I would have loved to go to that. I would have loved to go.
Because they sort of had one about 6 or 7 years ago. The Irish Riders.
But Cormac years ago kind of had like I don't even think it was dinner. I think it was just a meet and have a few drinks. And then they used to hand out the awards to the Irish Riders Association. But basically, this events company were just hiring us to formulate and run it, and then they were like giving us a percentage. But like the money they were talking, and then they were like.
They were genuine.
But this is easy sales. Oh, it's so I love something with a bit of sex.
I love Katie Taylor, sexy. And then
and we like the great idea is one of the sponsors would have. To sponsor the award, you would have had to. It was new boxer or up and coming boxer, and you would have started him for a weekly lump sum of money.
Like that was the winner of this young boxer award would have gotten sponsorship, and they would have followed the story and all. No company wants to do that at the minute. There needs to be some sort of, maybe it's just time, maybe there's something from above, but
probably I just say like it's the best of times at the minute in terms of world title fights and Katie Taylor and it's the worst of times as well. It's just like, and I don't like the stigma. I don't see it like right in your face. It's only when you hear like they went to Limerick and they wouldn't even do a show in a place that just done a white collar night and a UFC night and said no to boxing. And like you're thinking,
yeah,
and that's like you think of poor Graham McCormack and all. If he could fight twice in Limerick a year, where'd he be at now, and what pulling power he'd have, and but that's where we're at. And I don't know who has to address it, but someone has to address it. Like,
yeah, I think like you're talking about the stigma behind it. You don't actually realise it until you're in contact with
we're
the general
in our own
public.
circles here.
And, I remember so my local boxing club every year we raise money, we go to shops, you stand outside, and this year I was doing it, and would you like to donate some money to treat a boxing club? And this man was like looking, I was like, what's it for? What club? It's a football club. It's no, it's a boxing club. And he was like, so why would I put money in that? It's just a lot of lads punching the head off each other. I was like, that's disgraceful. Walked away. But that's what you're talking about. The GA, the amount of money in it. I know the FI now. I don't know about that now, but still there's a massive participation in football. Do you know what I mean? So you're getting your sub fees from people trying. Whereas boxing, there's just we pay like a £5 a week. Do you know what I mean? And it just keeps us alive.
Like, it's such a working class sport as well. Like if you're in GA, you might be a member of GA club, but you also might own your own construction company. Where like
someone's getting you a job.
Boxing, it's not as much. There's not as much nepotism probably, but it's less like favoured. Like whereas
put boxing on the telly and everyone watches it.
Yeah. That's the funny thing.
He gave me the figures for Hogan Charlo last week, and it was less than Last Man Standing for America.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is America paying these like a couple of million? I presume Charlo gets $1 million or so a fight, would he? You're getting $1 million out of the same thing. Like whoever done it over here should be a billionaire.
You have to think as well. What was it that the saying is like? If you go into a schoolyard and there's like a football match on one side, there's basketball in the middle, and then there's a fight.
You're watching the foot.
Everyone's watching the fight. But if you like in this imaginary thing, you have a football match and Lionel Messi's playing the football match, and then LeBron James is playing the basketball match, and there's a fight, and it's just two young lads. Most people will be watching the two sports stars, but there's still be a couple of people watching the fight. Like it's just this sort of primal thing that draws you in.
Yeah, and it's because it's something that. It's something that only a small slither of people can do. It's fight like.
But it's not. It's like that's the whole thing. It's not real. Like like this is like you sometimes find it hard to believe that you're talking to these people. Like they were just getting punched in the head a second ago. Like I getting punched in the head once and I didn't like it. Like they were doing all like they're.
And that's we're like just grateful for some of the fights we've been at, some of the nights, some of the moments. A lot of the Irish boxers gave us.
Oh yeah, like we're making it like we don't mean to be too bleeding heart here, but like it's the best job in the world.
Imagine it, like
you can't put a price on like nights and the failing and stuff like that. You can't put a price on those memories you have.
Granadas and Conlon, like that was just something special as well. Like I honestly believe the crowd got them up off the deck, like when the change of the noise, the Block versus Trainer. It was not many people seen that fight, but like just to be at ringside, there's so many of them. So and then to watch lads like Frampton, to watch Frampton from like his 5th or 6th fight when he was in the Ulster Hall, and just to selling out places and like
it's like who are then turning into big pros.
Yeah, and the journey they bring you on, like it's like you go over to watch Macklin in Madison Square Garden, go over to Mick Frampton's Vegas, and Frampton bringing people to Windsor, and just like and you're grateful for all that. Like
you look at Luke, who we fought for an Irish title, and there was literally that much in the fight, and now he's you're looking at his journey now.
Luke's story is amazing, and I think I don't know, but I always get the impression Luke really took something off Dennis Hogan. Kind of
belief.
Seeing Dennis Hogan and got a belief out of that, and hopefully Luke's story can do the same to people like that. You don't have to start with a big promoter. You can work your way up, and if you keep at it, and I suppose it's dedication. And Luke was always one where everyone in the media always loved him, didn't they? From the off, so
everyone, even Eddie Hearn and everyone sort of gravitated toward him.
Yeah, so like he probably had he was one of them not signed to a big promoter that had a little bit of extra or something. He did have a little bit more extra publicity, but like his story is amazing, and it sounds as he can be, like Luke.
And then I think because you're backing those boxers from such a from the infancy of their career. They I suppose you get this almost kind of a bond or like a little bit of friendship with them, and then you see them it's worth a lot more when they win, and it's much more disheartening to use probably when they lose. Like you look at Stephen Ward, like the fight he went through against Conroy when we were there, like it was just like it was a cracker, like, but you're seeing them go through such adversity there, you know, in front of everyone, you know, and that's what you're just so devastated from them when he gets knocked out in the first round against somebody. Absolutely devastated.
You get emotionally invested. And you're kind of devastated on two fronts. You're devastated for him, and then you're devastated for Irish boxing. Like it's kind of like people say in an all Irish fight, people always accuse of being up for A or being up for C, which is or B.
Usually both sides will at the same time.
Even 10 years later, you'll hear it like, and it's generally not the case. But if someone was to put a gun to your head and say, "Who do you want to win?" you'd actually logically break it down to what's best for Irish boxing. Yeah. Wouldn't you? Like,
yeah, if you have a guy who's just about to retire or a young fight, you'd probably in your head.
If gun to your head, you say, "Well, the young fella," because he's, and that's probably the only, you know. And so there's always that element there as well, But we do get guff over you or up for him, and people hold grudges, There's a lot of Irish boxing writers like that would be,
like people are blacklisted.
For picking stuff in the amateurs, like, you know, and like where you have to. So give us your list of things, and you could be just any all day, and you could be just ticking this, and this. He might be him. You know, you might not be putting much thought in it. And people won't talk to them for years. Like years. Like, fellas, you picked against me in the under 17s, X, Y, and what? No, not that wasn't me, but I remember Jerry Callan getting that one night, and he was like, "Oh,
I don't even remember."
So some of them do get offended. I presume sometimes we might say stuff that's wrong or right, but we're always doing it from a
outside of us trained. Like, we're just stands who
and we're not Steve Wellens, so we're not experts.
Well, that's it. But the thing is, like, the first and foremost is the news that people want, and you always have it up instantly. The updates in each charge for, and that's what you're bringing to people, and you're giving those boxers a platform that they wouldn't have elsewhere. Do you know what I mean?
I honestly believe that. yeah, definitely. I know, like, people say, "Oh, we have our Facebooks and Twitter now," but as I said before, you're not reaching the people you need to reach. And I do, and I think we give everyone a fair crack at the whip. Like, some people get on to us with news, some people we have to source news. But yeah, and I think without like, that's the thing. It's just to keep it updated as often as possible. If something's happening, keep it going, and then it's a killer, because like, you don't, like, you'd love to be a Sunday writer, wouldn't you? You have to just take a week over and just be an artist again, like. Whereas now you come a numbers watcher, or I have to get this, I have to get that out, and you haven't got time to even put thought into a sentence nearly. So but like, that's the site, isn't it? It's there, and I'm proud of it, and I honestly believe there's people's careers who it greatly helped. I don't know, a lot of people, they probably won't even know that themselves, but I honestly believe there is, and we could probably point to 3 or 4 or 5 where you can see specifics or anything. Now, they still have to do it in the ring, I'm not saying anything like that, or but like, it has helped, and people should use it as a tool too, and it's respected. Like, the Scottish promoters would rejoice in having a site like it, wouldn't they? Welsh, they have a site, but like, they were just like, they would, where we would get the most love is from them. Nearly be like,
or if you go to abroad, if you're ever to show abroad, and like, you're from Ireland, like, and you're coming to this, like, they're having trouble getting people from down the road,
and people of, like, from smaller countries that are aware of the site would, like, especially promoters, would kill to have a site like it. Like, so I think we are lucky that way too, because like, if you look at, say, Scottish boxing, like all the Sam Canuck shows or whatever, they're not getting much press or coverage, and even some of their lads are beating our lads. Like, we'd have them as like up for awards. Like, if it was vice versa, like, so they see the value in the site. That's where you probably the most love, which is strange. Now, there is some people who get onto it and always grateful for it.
But I just think boxers see this now, some of the Irish boxers, and it's coming to the realization that if it did, let's say it did stop, hypothetically, like, you know, you're thinking, how am I going to promote myself? How, you know, people even know I fought this weekend, kind of things like that. I don't think people realise the impact that you have on the Irish boxing scene.
So not blow ourselves up as much as we should.
But like, really, like, where would I find if Dominic Dunnigan fought on the Kelly Clash show now, or do you know what I mean?
You have to go on the Facebook.
How am I'm going to go on Box
Hope
Rec
that's
or
not
something like
private. Hope that like you can see.
Do you know what I mean? Where else am I going to get an update on my newsfeed that's happening?
But another thing is, it's the people that aren't looking for Dominic Donald but come across him by accident. Which is another thing.
Or I've seen his name 3 or 4 times. He's won again.
Or he beat this fella. He beat my friend. Who is he? Like, where did he come from?
Or if you're on a Frampton story, which or one of the bigger stories, and you just click homepage and you see Don, you know that it works that way too.
And then you look at, like, I always feel with TV in Ireland, they kind of push towards, there's more news and people push towards people who have good amateur careers in Ireland, and they tend to really concentrate on their pro career, but then there's lads who didn't really have a great amateur career but they're fighting for world title. Do you know what I mean? And there's no coverage on it whatsoever, but there seems to be this, it's almost like a clique. Do you know what I mean? Like the amateur circle.
I do have a bit of sympathy for that.
For news,
and you give them that platform. People that kind of came under the radar, like Dennis Hogan, all that kind of thing.
Because it is hard. Like what I will say just on that, because there has been a couple like Patch O'Hyland when he fought Gary Russell, even Keeler's fight now.
I was actually at that Gary Russell. Patch fight. Yeah.
It's hard for mainstream news to sort of announce a fight and introduce it. Like you need these sort of longer form things, like the interviews with us, or even radio station stuff, to sort of get a person to know a fighter first. And it's hard for mainstream media a lot of the time to, if the fight's been announced, they can't jump on it. Whereas with the amateurs, they've done so. It's what you would really ideally like to see is investing more on sort of the mid-level guys coming back for when they get there. That's why Carl Frampton was always brilliantly covered, because Barry was great with media. There was that sort of link there, so people were reporting on him from when he was younger. Whereas a lot of lads aren't. They're going under the radar, then they get the big fight, and because they've been so under the radar, it's hard to just like assume that their audience will know who all the stuff that they're talking about. So you then almost have to, like, as a rush job, introduce them. Like I think when Pajo fought Gary Russell, second captains, when Andy Lee used to work for them, did like an interview with him to like sort of say who you are. Oh, and also you're fighting one of the best featherweights on the planet. Like, so it's, you need that sort of mid-level investment, which is hard to get, and it's hard, and that's probably where we come in. Like that's what with Frampton and stuff, and Barry, they were talking about Frampton. He's going to be huge, and you sort of so we'd be able to, or people who watch boxing be able to be like, this guy will be big. He didn't have a huge amateur career, but he will be big, and it's sort of finding them, picking them, investing in them early, and it's hard. Like people are doing, like Eric Donovan now, like he's going to be big. Even Paddy Donovan now, like you're being backed by and even though Paddy Donovan, like, he was a brilliant underage amateur, he has no senior amateur pedigree, but when he gets to a world title fight, because the groundwork's been put in, I think it'll be a bigger deal. And that's where, like, because you're completely right about fights being announced and like the mainstream media missing it. I don't think that they didn't know about it. I just think that, like, it's hard for them to justify and hard for them to package it, and that's why we need boxers need that bigger media coverage from the start. Not even from the start, from the middle, from the like. Well,
let's hope it can grow and get the investment that it needs for Irish boxing, for the site, and for domestic scene in Ireland as well, and for Irish fighters worldwide who are living abroad and whatnot. So appreciate it for your time.
I appreciate it having us on.
And I hope you have an alright journey back to Limerick now. That shows dedication once again of Johnny
for an interview.
Getting on a bus for 2 hours.
To smell Dublin again. Stepping off the bus. Oh, the noise. It's lovely.
So lads, thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
For coming on, and have a good Christmas.
You too. And everyone out there, have a good Christmas.
Thank you.